when you become a son, you're a son that serves. See, but when you become a son, you're a son that serves. See, but when you become a son, you're a son that serves. See,
St. John chapter 1 verse 12 says, but as many as received him. It didn't say as many as believed him. You got to go beyond the realm of belief and start receiving. But as many as received him, to them gave he power. Notice that. St. John chapter 1 verse 12. To them gave he power. Dunamis, dynamos, where we get the English word dynamite. To become the sons of God. See, God's not interested in you being a servant. He's interested in you being a son. But when you become a son, you're a son that serves. See? He's more interested in getting you in the family. Once he gets you in the family, then he can get you to serve.
I'll just play you a few clips of his preaching from that meeting. As I do this, observe the attitude of his preaching and total display of irreverence for the Lord.
And they said, yes, we've been wife swapping. And 4 of them came down and gave their life to God. I'll never forget that. But I tell you, I was a little mad at God. I went back to the hotel and said, Lord, come in. Don't ever do that again. You want to do that stuff? You do that. Need out of there. And the Lord said, wow, yes, sir. You are pestilent. Hello. Yes. That's a true story. That literally happened. See, I never know when this Holy Ghost is going to start percolating. I allow the beast to wait all of a sudden. I can hear it. Here it comes. Oh, no, not here, Lord. Yeah, here we go. That's it. Do you know I had a woman come to my office one time and bought 5 complete sets of every tape I ever preached. Now, for saying them, I preached a lot of tapes. I mean, the whole complete library. She bought 5 copies of each one. She took 1 copy for herself, took 4 of the others, and went to the racetrack in New Orleans and gave them out to all the gamblers. Gave them out to all the guys that own the horses. I got a letter in my office. This is the truth. A man said, my horse has been running better since he's been listening to your tapes. I got the letter. He said, man, I put on one of your tapes and my horse goes, let's go. Come on, boy, let's go. That's the truth. I got the letter. It's in my file. Animals are moved when I preach. Now, a man asked me that day, what do you think about that laughing business? I said, well, it beats crime. Well, I think some people get in the flesh. Well, if you wouldn't be in the flesh, seeing them getting in the flesh, it wouldn't be in the flesh. Let God handle his business. See, some people don't want to laugh, but can't help it. So I believe in the fullness of the Spirit of God. I do. I believe in freedom. Not to the point of being fleshy, but if somebody gets in the flesh, we'll bring you to the flesh room. Fix that, but bless God, we don't throw you away. Just said, bless God, got a little overbalance in some areas, but we don't throw nobody away. You just go back into the flow of things, you see, flowing in the power of the Spirit of God. I love what Brother Kenneth Hagin said. He said, I never built my ministry on the gifts, I built my ministry on the Word. Now notice, because he built his ministry on the Word, he flowed in the gifts. And the man, how old is Brother Hagin? 78 at this time. And he has Holy Ghost meetings all over America and probably the world, and has some of them. And you know, he said, does he believe in that laughing stuff? Oh, he'll fall on the floor and laugh. But it's laughing in the Spirit of the Holy Ghost.
There are several ways of finding out who else is a Satanist like these men. Whenever a Christian minister speaks out against any one of the Satanists, there are others who will run to their aid and do everything they can to discredit what is being said about the Satanists. This has happened on many occasions. One of those was when Hank Hanegraaff from the Christian Research Institute began to speak out against the teachings of the faith movement, in particular the teachings of Kenneth Copeland. He was met with strong opposition by certain other men. Let me just play you this excerpt from the Christianity in Crisis audio tape, where you hear what Paul Crouch, Kenneth Copeland and Benny Hinn had to say.
Those who are feeding this cancer occupy some of the most powerful platforms within Christianity. They control vast resources and stand to lose multiplied millions of dollars if they are indeed exposed. The stakes are now so high that those who are plunging Christianity into crisis seem willing to do and say virtually anything to silence opposition and to rally support. And that's no empty charge. In fact, to prove that what I'm saying is true, listen to this.
Heretic hunters, these guys who spend their lives straightening us all out doctrinally, they're going to go straight to hell. They're going to I think they're damned and on their way to hell, and I don't think there's any redemption for them. I say to hell with you. I say get out of God's way. Quit blocking God's bridges, for God's going to shoot you if I don't. I refuse to argue any longer with any of you out there. Don't even call me if you want to argue doctrine, if you want to straighten somebody out over here, if you want to criticize Ken Copeland for his preaching on faith or Dad Hagen. Get out of my life. I don't want to even talk to you or hear you. I don't want to see your ugly face.
Several people that I know have criticized. Some of them are dead right today in an early grave because of it, and there's more than one of them got cancer.
And let me say something else too, and I really don't care if you like this or not. You have attacked me, your children will pay for it.
Your little ones may suffer because of your stupidity. One thing my favorite little might be far along, and I see now. You hear this? There are men and women in Southern California attacking me. I defend utterly upon now your leaders and your children unless you stop. You'll never. Stop that and pay it in. You attacking on the radio lines. You take and your children live. Hear from the lips of your servant. You are dead.
And I love Copeland. He's my friend. And anybody who is attacking him is attacking the very presence of God. There's a group here in California that thinks they are the judgment seat of Christ. Dear God in heaven, I wish I can just... They call it the ministry of my foot. You know, I've looked for one verse in the Bible, I just can't seem to find it. One verse that said if you don't like him, kill him. I really wish I could find it. You stink, frankly, that's the way I think about it. I'm sorry, I'm not exactly the normal kind of guy, you know. I'm from Israel. Sometimes I wish God would give me a Holy Ghost machine gun. I'll blow your head off.
Whenever anyone seriously opposes these men by attacking their teachings, this is the cultish manner in which they bite back to defend themselves. Now there is also another way of finding out who else is a Satanist. There are people of whom these men continually speak well of during their preaching and recommend their listeners to learn from. Some of the people which they continually mention in their preaching are names like Kenneth Hagin, Catherine Kuhlman, Amy Semple McPherson, William Branham, T.L. Osborne, Jerry Savelle, John Avanzini, Marilyn Hickey, Robert Tilton, Paul Crouch, Frederick Price, and Morris Cerullo, just to name a few. All these people preach the same gospel. Have a listen to some of their preaching. This is the gospel that they preach.
On radio and television, many faith teachers presented Jesus who looks remarkably like themselves. He is even decked out in designer clothes.
Well, what else are you going to call it now? Designer clothes, that's blasphemy. No, that's what we call them today. I mean, you didn't get the stuff he wore off the rack. It wasn't a one-size-fits-all deal. No, this was custom stuff.
According to faith teachers like Avanzini,
Jesus was handling big money.
predictably, they also claim that
Jesus had a nice house, a big house.
his followers are said to be incredibly wealthy. Why?
Paul had the kind of money that people, that government officials would block up justice to try to get a bribe out of old Paul.
So committed to this theology is Avanzini that he attacks apologists and theologians who teach that Jesus was a suffering servant. In utter disgust, he says,
I don't know where these goofy traditions creep in at, but one of the goofiest ones is that Jesus and his disciples were poor.